in the spirit of protecting your husband, I want to get this on record, that there is a life insurance claim for him, correct?
There is, yes.
Okay. Can you just tell me this story again, because I love it?
Well, when we had our first child, we got life insurance policies, knowing that I was going to be home with the kids and that if something happened to him, we would, I would be covered at least for a few years, and like our house would be paid off. But now when he does foolish things, I just sort of stand around and go, $1 million.
I love this. And just the little threats that you can kind of just lob his way now, to his life, that nobody else, you can be in a supermarket, no one else would know. And what we were talking about the other day was singing Bare Naked Ladies to him.
So it has now shifted.
Has it?
Yes, now anytime he's doing something dumb, I start saying, if I had $1 million. It drives him crazy too, which is really the only reason I do it.
Oh my God. You have to start on holidays or his birthday, start buying him the gifts in the buy him a green dress. Yeah. Or a monkey, like a stuffed monkey.
Photocopy our mortgage statement and be like, I bought you a house.
If I had $1 million. Well, Tom, this is for you. I just want, you are safe. This is now on record. So I at least safer. I can't promise you anything. Well, cool. You want to get started on the show?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Voices, the things they said. Voices, some from those dead. All the voices heard. Voices, things we say. Voices, they're in your head. All the voices heard.
Hello, everyone. You have Kempa
and Tibby,
and that's it. This is 2 hosts today, and one is a guest host. And I'm so excited to have you, Tibby. Just so folks know, Shannon and Flo are both going through some kind of just some healing time. And as good lefties on the show, we want to be able to support each other when we need it. So they're taking much needed time off. They're going to be gone through our break. We're going to take a break between mid-June and mid-July, which is what we do every year now. And then on the other end of that, in mid-July, when we launch up again, Shannon and Flo will be back. Skylar's not on today because we're talking about silliness at City Hall, although I'm sure he would probably love to come on for something like this. But I believe Skylar will be back next week. Also, a dear friend of the show, Claire, will be on as a co-host, guest host. So we're really excited about that. But let's start with you, Tibby. You are listed here as a really awesome person in all caps. I believe that's on your business card.
It is.
But no, you're a librarian, and you're like a longtime community advocate. People all over the Sacramento region kind of know you for kind of all sorts of work. But I'm really excited to hear that you have started a new podcast, the At Home Librarian. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's my high school best friend and I, and I'm the librarian and parent, and she's the teacher on it. And we're only like 3 episodes in at this point, but the first season that we're doing, we're talking about how kids learn how to read, and the kinds of books that are out there for them. My own kids we unschool. And when I was sort of starting that out with them, there were a lot of people, like random people, that were really worried that my kids were not going to learn to read, specifically not learn to read. They did not care about math. They did not care about social studies, like none of the other things. It was reading. But I also worked in a second grade classroom for a long time, and then in lower, middle, and high school libraries. And I felt pretty confident in knowing what to expect and what to look for, and felt confident giving them some direct instruction. So I didn't worry about it. But then I realized like there are other parents out there, and there are even like other educators and librarians that could use that knowledge. So we decided to start this podcast where that's what we talk about.
That's an incredibly fun confluence. Some of my best friends are librarians. Shannon's husband, in fact, is a librarian. So I've got to listen to a little bit of your podcast, and I'm really enjoying it. Obviously, like, I don't have a kid. I can't teach my dog to read, but it's still really enjoyable. So I'm pumped to have you on. Yeah, anything else you want to add on that before we hop into the show?
No, I think we're going to do some other seasons. We're going to do writing, how kids learn how to write and how to spell, because I know those things are kind of intimidating for parents. We'll probably do math. I think we're going to talk about play and social emotional development. So
very cool. So you're covering the spectrum. How can people find you? When do you publish? Where do you publish?
I think we're on most of the major platforms. I know we're on Spotify because that's where I listen to it. But we publish on Mondays, every other Monday. So there was one that came out, well,
today as we record. Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, check it out, folks. And yeah, I was so pumped because I'm like, oh, Tibby's a pro at podcasting now. I can just see if she can join today.
Hardly.
But today, I think we have, hold on one second. Zoom or GarageBand was asking me something and I did not understand what that was. But I believe we are fine.
This is a story of me and computers.
Oh my God.
I don't know what you're asking me.
All right. We're about 9 minutes in, Skylar. I will write that down. Okay. Today, we are going to talk about something near and dear to my heart. It's a man, unlike any other man. A man who speaks his mind, who dislikes politicians, and, he just shoots from the hip. This man's name is Sean Baby Loloee. Yeah. Now, I don't know. How closely do you pay attention to city council meetings, things like that?
Mostly through the show. Honestly, we're out in the county, so I pay a little closer attention to that. Okay.
So I'm very glad that we've had the chance to introduce you to him.
Me too.
He is a joy. Not only is he a man who doesn't not only live in his district, I'm pretty sure he lives in a different county in Granite Bay.
Is that even legal? I didn't think that was legal.
It's not legal, but he does have property here in Sacramento and claims that he lives there. I don't know.
Okay.
Listen, I've been trying to get the investigative reporters on this, in town, and nobody wants to pick it up. But I know his address. They live a mile away from his wife's dentist office. This is all pretty well known.
Well, if you own a house, that stuff's public.
Yeah. Well, Sean Baby, yeah, actually he changed the ownership of the house as he was running for office into his wife's name so that people wouldn't notice. Anyway, this is a little it's on topic because it's about our man, our baby boy, Sean, but I want to talk about his relationship with affordable housing, and how it continuously appears to bite him in the ass. So
I hear he's not fond of it.
Apparently not. So Yusuf Baig, one of the editors in the opinion section of the Sacramento Bee, has been all over this. I think actually PJ, one of our very often co-hosts, was the first one to record this of basically Sean Loloee saying on a hot mic in the middle of a public city council meeting that he's not a fan of affordable housing. And this was the end of last year, I think. And Baig wrote a great piece on it, reached out to him, and he didn't get back to him. And then Loloe's office came to Baig claiming that, like, hey, you never reached out to us, but he actually had. And then they had him do like a drive along with Sean in his district. And so there's a whole follow-up piece there.
That felt a little propaganda-y.
Yeah, it's one thing that
not the article, but like the invite to ride along.
Yeah. Well, it's a thing too, I think, for a lot of journalists that in good faith, if someone's like, oh, I didn't get my fair shake, like people will, spend time with that person, hearing them out. But Sean just continues to kind of
well, then he managed to shoot himself in the foot in that article too.
He did,
with the things that he said.
He's an interesting man. And he's back in the headlines, and you love to see it. And the most recent headline is that he ended up. Well, wait, how do we begin with this? So there was a consent item on last week's city council consent calendar. It's like that whole thing should take like 5 minutes, like boom, done. This one item on there, thanks to Sean and a bunch of NIMBYs in a neighborhood called Woodlake, they brought the city council meeting to a screeching halt for over an hour and a half.
Yep.
To fight a new affordable housing complex that is going to be put up in his district on the corner of Arden Way and Oxford Street. It's actually an old armory that they're going to be tearing down to build this. It's going to be 124 units of affordable housing. That's 30 to 60%, people who make 30 to 60% of the area's median income. Hugely important, right? I believe T. Clift wrote an article on this saying that the Sacramento region has a shortage of 78,000 affordable and available homes. That's in our region. So there's a huge need, right? And the source for that number, let me check that real quick, is the National Low Income Housing Coalition. Go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry. This building also is going to have like a community room, and it's going to have retail space downstairs, and it's going to have a childcare center.
Right. And it's right on the light rail. This is where you want housing to be built, especially at this kind of density.
And it's really on the edge of that Woodlake neighborhood. Yeah. It's not like in the heart of it, which is what a lot of the people made it sound like it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, like, what are these folks doing, basically? These are homeowners, right? And these are folks that in capitalist America, it behooves you to have particular housing in your neighborhood and not other kinds, so that your housing is basically serving as an investment, and it continues to sort of build and build and build in worth.
Well, this is how a lot of people build intergenerational wealth, is through the
absolutely
property, but mostly their homes. That's how most people do it.
And so much of that's kind of how we ended up in this place we're in today, where we have this housing crisis, we have a homelessness crisis, and then just a bunch of backbiting on city council. So basically, this is interesting though. This whole thing is coming into being because of a state initiative. Governor Gavin Newsom, let me just read from T. Cliff's article here. In an effort to improve the state's severe housing crisis, Governor Gavin Newsom in 2019 signed an executive order to make state-owned surplus property available for affordable housing. This list included the Woodlake Armory site, The governor's office also included the site on a list of properties that could be used as a homeless shelters in 2020. I can only imagine how the neighbors would respond to that. The state solicited bids, selected Bridge, that's the development company, it's a nonprofit, as the developer for the Woodlake site. A city staff report said the company plans to start construction in fall 2023, open the building up for living in 2025. And this is an $82 million project, mostly funded by federal and state grants. The city, to my understanding, is not paying anything at the moment, although they will be or would be waiving $500,000 in fees.
Right.
But what's happening here is this land is state-owned property. It's almost not the jurisdiction, it's not the ability of the city to really tell folks what they can and can't do, especially when you're going toe-to-toe with the state, which is trying to fight our horrific housing crisis. Am I missing anything here?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So what's Sean doing here? He's not happy, it seems. Why is he not happy?
I mean, he seems like he's representing a very small portion of his district, and that, these homeowners don't want this 5-story unit there on that property. I thought it was interesting. The one issue they sort of finally circled around to was parking.
Right.
Issues with parking, but they had a host of other things. And he basically echoed what, the 4 people that called in against it.
That's the funny thing to me. It's if he learned nothing from Yusuf calling him out last, winter or whatever. All he learned was to not get caught saying that he doesn't like affordable housing again. So he's learning to use this other language to try and keep it out. The same way NIMBYs, even lib NIMBYs, who claim to be progressive, try and keep affordable housing out of their neighborhoods too, by using, terminology like, oh, this density just doesn't work for this area. We don't have the infrastructure for it. Like our sewers can't handle it. Oh, this street, what are we going to do for parking? It's already a very narrow street. It's going to be dangerous, which all is ostensibly bullshit. Yeah. So Sean was very angry during the city council meeting, and he was fighting very hard to make it so this affordable housing space does not exist in his district. Repeatedly, he said, what did he say? It was going to destroy the community. Yeah. And that's some strong fucking language, right? Now, in as much as people can argue on those other NIMBY things to try and, really drag the feet on something like that getting built, his language, he went straight to 11, it seems like, to brilliant effect. Here's the thing about Sean, like, he is one of the few people that makes me like Darrell, like our mayor.
I have that thought too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, what kind of a troll do you have to be to make our mayor so likable? Because the mayor just calling out is bullshit, and it is a joy to watch. The two of them squabbling back and forth was just yeah, chef's kiss. It's perfect. Actually, I'd like to, for viewers, you can view this, but for listeners, you can just listen to this kind of repartee between them. So I'm going to screen share real quick. Let's see here. Hold on. Let me get out of my messages so no one sees the private messages people are sending me. All right. Share the screen. All right. Let's see. What do we have here? I don't know. Are you a fan of Kelsey Grammer?
Oh, is that who that is?
Yeah.
Chelsea sent me that picture the other day.
Did she send you that one or the one that
she sent? Both of them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is for folks who are listening. The background on my computer is a picture of Kelsey Grammer in a swimming pool holding a baby that is also Kelsey Grammer. And I kept sending that to Chelsea repeatedly, my partner, over the last few weeks. And then she and our friend came together and decided to make another image of me and a baby me in a pool doing the same thing.
But
It's
you
hard-
with long hair and then you with short hair.
to show that he is aged, right?
Yes.
And a beard.
I
Anyway,
find babies with like men's faces pretty funny.
it's really
like
good.
what were those Instagram or like TikTok videos where people were face switching with their babies?
Oh, Man Babies. That was my favorite website. Or is
I've
there a
not heard of
TikTok
that.
too? Okay, so Man Babies was a blog back in the day, like 15, 20 years ago, that just would take pictures of men and their babies and switch their faces. But I guess now we have filters that just do it for
Do
us.
it for you. Yep.
Yeah.
Real time.
I'm getting us a little off track here. So I wanted to share, actually, I need to make sure that I'm sharing this is how you know that I'm not that good at Zooming. Here, I'm going to share a screen. Nope, I wasn't sharing sound. Okay, so now I'm sharing sound. And let's watch this back and forth of them arguing, Darrell and Sean, baby, Loloee, just before this vote. It is fantastic. And let's just, it's a couple minutes long, but we got time.
It's going to get built. You got a developer who's willing to negotiate and work with the community, and you certainly have us who are willing to talk to the state of California about being sensitive to the
Mr. Mayor, let's, with all due respect.
No,
we
I
gotta
have the
be
floor
realistic.
here. Sean,
On, baby.
sorry.
Look at him take his shirt
I'm
off.
speaking.
He's
I didn't interrupt you.
ripping his coat off.
You
He's
disagree with me.
incensed.
I'm sorry. I'm not voting against affordable housing in this city. Not doing it. Be a hypocrite, actually.
Yes, you
With all
will.
that we're trying to do around homelessness and all that we're trying to do to get people housed, we're going to
But are
turn
we?
down the potential of, if it's 124 units or 100 units or 80 units of workforce and affordable housing.
If it's destroying our city, I hope so, because
Well,
that's why we got elected.
me tell
Destroying
you.
our city.
Yeah,
I
there's that
represent
11.
District 2 and Sacramento, not Governor Newsom, not the state.
Fine, and
This is-
I
You know, but
I'm
I
not
guess we
done.
all have our different
I'm not done.
agendas, so.
I am
that's
not
fine.
done.
He's not done.
Oh my
You
God.
represent District 2, I represent the entire city.
Oh.
And we need more affordable housing. So let's work this out. And if you're going to make a claim that any project is going to, quote, destroy a neighborhood, you better back it up with more than just an angry assertion. Because it doesn't hold water with me, and it's not going to hold water with the majority of your colleagues tonight.
Well,
Angelique?
kind of did.
With three of them.
Well, I
yeah.
think destroying a community, it's just a common sense, just drive
Hang
by
on,
them.
John.
Just if you want more data, I get you more data.
Angelique's
go
trying to get him
Is-
to quiet down.
and this was, whether this is affordable or market rate or whatever it is,
Uh,
the location of this project is wrong. Nobody is questioning, nobody's arguing that we need affordable housing. We have city-owned properties that we can put 300 units on it. And I'm willing, and I've sat down, I've got together with the developer that if we kind of turn that parcel to you, can you make this property less?
oh my God.
Does he own that other property he was trying to sell him on? Because I was like, wow, you're really pushing that hard.
Yeah, I don't know. By the way, thank you to a friend of the show, Chris Hooks from Capital Public Radio for just putting this online.
A
And
gem, a true gem.
the world needs to see it. It's incredible. What are your thoughts here?
They're like an old married couple.
Oh, that's so good. Oh,
No, I just, yeah, watching that, I was like, damn it, Darrell's making some good points. I don't disagree. I hate this.
Yeah. You know, I think it was really funny too, you know, Sean's big assertions on like, it's going to destroy a neighborhood. And he didn't back it up at all. But it was funny when they were talking with the nonprofit developer, Sean was saying to him, like, you know, it's going to destroy, like, if I can prove to you that it will destroy this neighborhood, then will you bring it down to like 25 units, which is a ridiculous ask.
Yeah, there's 100 less units.
Yeah, which by the way, this is something the state is already going to do. This is even, we haven't even talked about this
That's
yet.
right.
The city has no say in this, like, happening or not. This is the state's property and they're going to do it. The ask is, can we have the blessing from city council to apply for a grant of $5.7 million so that city of Sacramento will not have to pay that $5.7 million for this project, so we could actually use $5.7 million for another affordable housing project or whatever else we want to do.
Like maybe that location that Sean Loloee kept talking about. That's, can't remember where he said it was, but it's like an even bigger location. He's like, you could put 400 units on it. I was like, great, let's do that too.
Great. We've got 5.7 million earmarked for that, dude. Like, yeah, that's the funniest thing. It's like, all you're doing is trying to get like free money from the state or feds, so that we can subsidize the building of affordable housing, which is not cheap to build.
But that's so him. He wants to say the right things, but then when it, push comes to shove and it requires taking action, he's not going to actually do that. Like, he doesn't want to put that $5.7 million towards that other property and also have this one built. No.
Yeah. I mean, you said it before, he's representing a very small constituency. And honestly, this is probably the, reactionary far right constituency that got him elected in the first place in a district that's been depressed and has historical low voter turnout. They just maybe not though. Like, they sounded like a lot of my neighbors out in Arden Arcade, like, sure, that aren't far right, and some of them that even claim to be, liberal and progressive. It's just, I guess they sound like homeowners. They sound, it's the same in suburbia everywhere. I guess what I'm saying is, when he ran against Alan Warren, not like Alan was any angel either, for this seat, it didn't take much to flip enough people because it is a low voter turnout region. It's been very depressed, and like people, this cloister of assholes, like it didn't take much from them or much money from them to succeed in getting this guy in, who now is just their kind of voice. But yeah, I don't know. I guess you never know kind of what percentage. It's like the push to recall Katie Valenzuela. It's like, it kind of feels like it's just 12 people, but like, wow, are they loud? Like it's hard to be able to gauge it. Yeah. Okay, so that whole repartee went down. And then there was a vote. And how did the vote go down? It was 5-4, it passed. Okay. So this is, and like, I think there is some nuance here. I know when PJ called in for his public comment, he made a really fantastic point about like, this is, this would be better if this were social housing. There should not be a profit impetus behind any of this generally, or else affordable housing is not going to get built. And I thought that was really strong, but that it just seems like a no-brainer, this one, to vote yes for it, because we have a ridiculous homelessness and housing crisis. So Mayor Steinberg was a yes. Councilmember Katie Valenzuela was a yes. By the way, Katie had a great comment as well. I don't know if you saw that part of it, Tibby, but she sort of was like, like, this is something we need, and we need it in every corner of our city. And she's like, the governor's, this initiative by the governor, like within our city, I actually have the first like building being built, you know, for affordable housing. This is actually right across from where I live. And I get people's, like, I vaguely understand like why some people would be like, oh, I don't know, that might change things if a bunch of new units come in. But it's like, this is going to house so many people who need it. And yeah, like there's like a crane outside for a few months. Like it's a little loud, but it's like the way it will improve our neighborhood and our community and bring in good people who are just trying to get by. Like, I don't understand. I mean, I do understand. I see them argue this way all the time. It's just hard for me to swallow how people can be so kind of cold on something like this. But
It's
anyway,
like shutting the door on people who are, you know, like, oh, I made it into a house. Now I'm going to like close the door on other people.
and like what I don't like what it, I'm getting a little angry. I'm not able to talk. Uh, the people who are fighting this, I guarantee, are also furious about homelessness, but in a different way than I think a lot of us are. They just want it out of their face. They don't want to
Yep.
see it. But in order to fix homelessness, unless you're going to do something horrific, you have to create the affordable housing for folks to be able to afford to live in it. There's no way around that. And it's kind of maddening.
I'd be sort of curious what their thoughts are on like the people who don't want it in their face, but like okay, so then what is your solution?
Right, exactly.
I don't think I actually want to know that because it's probably like concentration camps or
Right.
something. But-
vile like that. Or they'll trot out the classic like free market, like, oh, just more housing that'll drive the prices down and then we'll all be fine. It's like, that's not how this
That's
works.
not how it really works.
Not how it has worked, you know, like this is why we are where we are. So the vote was yeses were Steinberg, Councilmember Valenzuela, Eric Guerra, Jay Chenier, and then Jennings. Rick Jennings, once more, a total joy. I did not hear a peep from him, but he came through on the good vote. I just love it when like there's something like this and like you just don't talk the whole time. It was an hour and a half long. And the no's were Sean Loloee, Jeff Harris, Angelique Ashby, kind of the usual suspects there, right? The ones that lean towards the developers and the real estate folks, and like, you know, they're basically everyone who's profit driven in those spaces. A little bit of a head scratcher for me, Mai Vang.
She also didn't say anything during except for the vote.
Also true. And yeah, I'd be interested to learn more about that. I haven't checked her socials to see if she made a comment on that or anything, but it's just one of those things that it's like, you know, aren't we pushing for affordable housing? You know, I do know she lives in a less affluent district, and representing them, I think a lot of folks are driving to make sure that we're putting affordable housing all throughout the city. And it's, you know, if we have it so everyone's living together, I think we will have sort of a more equitable arrangement. So I wonder if it's coming from that space, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you can do both. I think you vote yes on this and you say like, let's put it in other wealthier districts.
Yeah.
I mean, so much of this was like, it can be a yes and.
Yeah. And it's literally just a vote for $5.7 million, like free.
And over something that they have no control over. I mean,
Yeah.
like the mayor said, it's happening regardless. So
Yeah. So do you want to piss off the governor's office and then like, you know, as they're trying to build affordable housing in your city? There was one more exchange, and this was after the vote. And I love it. And I think we have to watch it or listen to it. I think listeners will enjoy it as well. Basically, after the vote, Sean Loloee was so furious, and he believes so staunchly that this will be the end of the careers for the 5 who voted yes, that he wanted to read back of all the votes. let's watch this one. All right.
And he'd already taken his jacket off, so he couldn't like pull his shirt off to even more anger.
Oh, there's our guy. All right. Escape. Chris thankfully posted this one as well.
The motion passes. The motion passes.
At 5-4.
Madam City Clerk, can you read the votes? Just the public, I think it's very important for the public to.
No,
No, it's very important, Mr. Mayor.
It's
Mr.
on the
Mayor.
record, Sean.
Excuse me, it's on the record. You're out of order.
It's
You're out of
very
order. We'll move
important
on to
for the
next
public
item.
to know
Next
how we're
item, the
treating
public-
our
I
residents
I
and our
voted
community.
yes. Let's
Look at
go on
him
to the next
standing up for the
item. Thank
public.
you.
Well, Mr. Mayor,
Sean,
if that's how you're gonna
thank
run
you.
this session, then what's the point? I just listened to it from my house rather than sitting in the office. We are running
In
a
Granite Bay.
democracy here, aren't we? Or are we turning into a semi-dictatorship on the name of affordability? I don't care about the state. I could care
Katie.
less about our
I know.
governor. I care about Sacramento only.
Good.
That's all I care about.
And that's all I care about too. Madam Clerk, why not? Who voted which way?
This is
Go
my
right
favorite
ahead.
part.
It's fine.
Why not?
The
Let's hear it.
following members voted no: Ashby, Loloee, Harris, and Vang. The following members voted yes: Valenzuela, Chenier, Gatta, and Jennings, and Steinberg.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay. Just phenomenal stuff. I don't think, yeah, I love to see it. Sean is a perpetual barrel of monkeys. And it's also just good to see he lost. I don't know if there's much more to say on this. It was just like such a joyful thing to witness that I was like, oh man, we need to take a look at this.
I mean, I'd watch more city council meetings if they were like this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I tried to get Yusuf on the show today to discuss this, but it's his day off apparently. But someday I'd love to have him on to discuss all things Sean Baby Loloee. But I guess there's this other side of it too that is a little bit more serious. That's like, that's a tight vote, 5-4 on a slam dunk issue.
On basically a support letter.
Yeah. And we should be doing everything possible to increase affordable and social housing in our region. And it just kind of shows kind of how on a razor's edge it is at our city council. Who knows how it would go at like the county board of soups. And that to me, and listen, I fucking despise the vote people. Like, you know, I'm voting as hard as I can. I definitely am. I'm gonna like have like a bloodshot eye from how hard I'm voting this year. But like, it does show me, especially in a local election, just how kind of on a razor's edge we are and how important some of these races are. And I get concerned when I'm looking at kind of who some of the candidates are and who's throwing money around right now. You know, you look at, in particular, like District 1, where Angelique currently serves. She's not going to be there next year because she's running for Senate, whether she wins or loses. I'm not feeling good about that because there's one person running and she's got all this real estate money, and then there's another person running who just basically is running on a platform of, I want to carry her banner further.
No.
Yeah. And so that's concerning. And I assume that vote will be just like Angelique landed today. Then you have District 3, where, you know, Harris, another no vote, right? And you have two people running there. And when I look at all of the real estate money, all of the landlord money getting thrown into that race in favor of Michael Lynch, I find that deeply, deeply concerning. I also have concerns about Karina Talamontes. I know that she has taken COP money it feels a little damned if you do, damned if you don't. And like, you almost have to plug your nose and say like, what's the best for the people of this district? And I don't know the answer there. And then in District 5, it's a little more straightforward. You know, Katie Maple has taken no COP money. She's taken no money from any, you know, realtors or anything like that, except for one who actually knocked on doors for real rent control. So that doesn't count. Tomiko, who is running against her, she has had over $200,000 come in from the real estate, the landlords, from the Metro Chamber, to try and sink Katie Maple because she fights for renters' rights. She thinks renters should have rights.
Imagine
So
that.
yeah, and this one's a district where, you know, Jay Chenier voted yes on this. That's his district. So he's off the dais. We have Tomiko Heim there. She's in their pocket. Like, where does this land now? You know, Jennings just kind of coasting through. Good on you, man. But yeah,
Maybe he
I don't
took
know.
a nap.
Yeah, as long as he's voting the right direction. But yeah, I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
No, not in particular. I'm still
Okay.
really confused by the redistricting.
Yeah.
I mean, in large part because I'm not in the city, because I'm out in the county.
Yeah, there's
I
almost
haven't
no
followed
reason
it
to
as-
pay attention to it. If that's
It got
the case.
confusing and I was like, oh, I don't have space in my head for that.
Looking at this vote, it just, I don't know. I guess you get a little depressed, and
I guess it just has implications for the future, right?
Yeah.
That this is going to get harder and harder to get these projects done. And I think it sort of puts the onus on projects that are already sort of coming down the pipe, right? That they need to get going on them and get them approved before, you know, the balance switches and people aren't
yeah.
inclined to vote for this.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see, you know, next week's show, we'll have a better idea of what city council will look like, because the primary races will have been over. In 2-person races, we will have a winner already. So I'm interested to see how that pans out. And then I don't know, like I don't know about you, but like I've been talking a lot with people about just like this time in the pandemic where like you feel a little freer to do things, but like I feel like a lot of us don't necessarily feel better. Like we're still struggling with something. And like I talk a lot about executive function with friends and how like you're kind of rebuilding that. And I think like watching something like that, in as much as Sean is infinitely hilarious, I also feel a little like ugh about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've dealt with everything from the pandemic yet. Just
Yeah.
like the grief of it and the weight of it.
Mhm.
I think
Well,
that's catching up with a lot of people.
I'm looking forward to the Voices break actually because of that. And you know, I'll just listen to my librarian podcast until then. Well, we don't have to do a full episode today. I just thought it would be really fun to discuss that, like, you know, what happened there. But before we go, you were talking to me a little bit about the Community Care First Coalition.
Yes.
There is a press conference coming up. Can you tell the listeners and viewers what exactly this is, and kind of why they should tune in on Wednesday?
Yeah, so I work with a couple of different local organizations, and so I'm part of this newly formed coalition, the Community Care First Coalition. And mostly we're focusing on shifting public policy and budgets, and using those to strengthen preventative care systems that create racial and health equity by centering impacted voices and eliminating systemic harm in Sacramento County. And Wednesday is the start of county budget hearings for the 2022 budget. And we're going to be out, we're going to have a little press conference at 12:30. Folks can come out and join us. We'll have drinks and little snacks and things. We're calling it budget and brunch, although 12:30 is kind of late for brunch, but that's okay. And then
Where's
there's
it going to be?
700 H Street.
700 H Street, which
That's the
I
county building.
believe is the county building. Okay.
Yes. And then there will be about a half-hour long press conference with folks from different organizations that are part of the coalition speaking. Katie Valenzuela is going to speak briefly, and then folks can hang out to make public comment at the budget hearings. If you look at like either Decarcerate's social media or Anti-Police Terror Project Sacramento's, we've got graphics up that have information about the sort of broad areas of demands that we're making. And then there's like a one-click letter that you can submit to the county supervisors. And that has more detailed information about like the things that we're demanding in the budget.
Great. So two amazing organizations. We've had folks from them on the show, Decarcerate Sacramento, as well as the Anti-Police Terror Project. Now, the hyphenate Anti-Police Terror Project, even though I'd prefer it would be between anti and police, apparently it's between police and terror.
It is.
But they do phenomenal work. What are some other organizations that are a part of this?
Sacramento Homeless Union,
Great.
Community Health Advocates, I think that's what they're called. SAC Tenants Union is part of it. NorCal Resist.
So
Those are
some
the
great
ones-
groups.
Justice to Jobs is in there. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And these are the whole point of this, and Flo really tries to drive this stuff home all the time, is that, you know, your county's budget is a reflection of your county's principles. So if we are putting more and more money, especially after everything that's happened, especially after the George Floyd protests, into our carceral and punitive systems, things are just going to continue to get worse and worse. What your coalition is arguing for is something that's pretty straightforward. And it's like, there's public health data behind this, that if we invest in the community, if we find alternatives to our current carceral practices, we can have a healthier community. Is that accurate? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Wednesday, 12:30,
700 H Street.
700 H Street. That sounds wonderful. Anything else we want to add?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, folks, I've been talking about this for a while. We are planning to do a patron only Voices Hangout. I believe that will be during the break, so we'll let you all know about that. I've actually been reaching out to venues too about the possibility of a live show after we come back from our break. So I think that would be really fun too. But we've got one more episode before we take our little summer break. I'm really looking forward to that. But more than anything, Tibby, I'm just really thankful you were able to come on today. It was last minute. And yeah, you're a good friend and a good person. And I'm glad your husband was here to help with the technical stuff too.
Me too. I wouldn't have said yes if he wasn't around today.
A couple of lifesavers. All right. Well, I guess let's call the show. I guess I should say we do have a Patreon. We love the work we do. If you love the work we do, please support us. It helps keep us going. Patreon.com/voicesrivercity. It's really important to sort of just like, I don't know, to just support the things you love, I think. And beyond that, we've got a store, voicesrivercity.com/shop. We're on all the socials. I am at Kempa on Twitter, YOUKNOWKEMPA. You're not on Twitter, are you?
I am not. I can't do it.
That's healthy. That's really nice. I've been trying to sign off more. I don't have the app anymore, and now Chelsea takes me on these like full day hikes, and like I just like throw my phone away the whole day, and I'm less Twitter brained. But you know who's not? Our friends Skylar, Shannon, and Flo. Actually, they're probably taking their time off too. But Skylar is Guillotine for You. That's Guillotine, the number 4, YOU. Shannon is Shan ND Stevens, and Dr. Flo is at Flojaune, FLOJAUNE. I think that's it. Tibby, thank you so much for hanging with me. And we will see everyone next week.